Hello, everybody. I have a special guest today. She's from Oxford College in Ontario, and she recently passed the examination. So I'm going to pass the mic on to you. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Emese Kun. I'm from Ontario, Toronto. I'm a graduate student, and I don't know.
That is great. You just finished school recently, right?
I just finished school, yes.
Yes, it's a great program. I'm just, for our audience, the reason why I'm on this interview is because we talked a lot, I think, in different formats. I think you were on the webinar, and I recognize your name. And many different
all of them.
Yes. And me as the founder of StudentRDH, I keep try to monitor everything, my emails, all the videos, chats that we do. And some students, if they have more and more questions, I'm always happy to answer them. But some students, for some reason we start building a relationship. So I'm just happy that you graduated, you passed your examination, and I'm so happy for you to share your personal experience.
Thank you for having me.
So let's go back to school. So you applied to dental hygiene school. How was school?
School wasn't easy, as you all know. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And I can say that now that I'm a graduate student, I would definitely go back to school to do it again, the same school. I really enjoyed the school after the long trials we had. But it was really nice, and I had a nice experience at school.
All right, and you had an 18-month program?
18-month program.
18, yes, great.
1 year and a half. And each semester was 4 months and a half, and then 2 weeks break in between semesters.
Great. So it was pretty condensed. It was pretty fast, intensive. Great. So I want to ask you that you went through school, right? And then you made a really difficult decision to take a break.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yes. So I was in semester 3, at the end of semester 3, and I was thinking, what should I do? I used to have, we have 2 weeks in between. It was exactly the winter break. I was thinking that time, I was getting married in February. So for me, it was a little bit hard to go through the stress through semester 4 with clients, getting clients and points and everything we needed. So I was stressed with the wedding also, and I had to take a difficult and very important decision at that time if I should take a semester off or not. By the end of before the semester started, I just decided, and I said, it's better for me, for my personal life, for my future career, and for my future life to take a semester off, so I won't be that stressed, overwhelmed.
Okay.
So I took the semester off exactly before the last semester. So I finished semester 3, and then we were in 2 weeks break, and before starting the semester 4, I took the 1 semester off.
Okay. And how did that feel? I'm pretty sure it was difficult to say, hey, I'm going to take a semester off.
At the beginning, it was very difficult, especially I went at school in the first week just to talk with the instructors, to take my semester off and all that. So I saw my classmates. I was almost crying because I knew that they would graduate soon and I won't see them anymore. But at the end, I said, I can keep the relationship with them, the friendship relationship, but I can't kill myself. So at the end, and my husband was very supportive at that time. So he understood me. I felt anxious. I felt a little bit shy and ashamed that I would take a semester off. I was thinking what people would think that I would take a semester off. But at the end, I said it's for my best, and I decided to do it. And actually, I don't regret it.
Great. So what happened afterwards? You went back to school. How did it feel?
So in May, I went back to school, and actually, for my surprise, I don't know, it was everything so good. I had clients. I had clients after clients. I had some clients coming in. Some of my friends, they would recommend me some clients. They would give me some of their clients who has come for recares. And some clients, they would ask me, do you think I can bring my wife? Do you think I can bring my son or my nephew or whoever?
Fantastic.
They would just recommend me clients. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. And
Right.
at the end, I wasn't even able to see all the clients because they were
That
too
is
many.
fantastic. So I'm glad to hear that you took a semester of very difficult decision and you kept a professional relationship with your classmates, with your faculties. And when you went back to school, you actually had a lot of patients who wanted to see you, a lot of recommendations. So the reason why I really wanted to bring this story up, because I feel like sometimes we feel overwhelmed with a lot of things happening. I mean, school is very demanding. So if you have big life events, there is very encouraging for me and others to listen that you can take a break, but when you come back, you can also finish strong. It doesn't
Exactly.
mean you have to give up. You're not giving up. You're coming back actually even better.
I had like more strength and I was more happier than everyone else. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
understand my classmates why they are so tired, they are so complaining all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
me, I was like so fresh. It was like I'm starting the semester one from the beginning. I don't know. It was a nice experience. I won't recommend it do it like just to do it for fun. But if you really feel at that point that you can't do it anymore and you don't wanna you don't know what to do, it's better for you to take a semester off if you have this opportunity, and
Uh-huh.
then you will continue and nothing happens. It's just a few months, but in that time you will get renewed, you will have lots of strength, and you'll just
Amazing.
continue and finish.
And congratulations on the wedding that happened recently.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I love seeing the photos behind you too. I mean,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I love the, I mean, I can see happiness, from my screen right now already. I'm sure our
Sure.
audience do too. I'm really happy for you.
Yes.
And now let's just talk a little bit more about patients, because it seems like you didn't have any problems getting patients. And me, when I was at school, I remember it is pretty stressful.
It is.
Do you have any tricks?
Well, so the thing was that in semester three, I was struggling with clients. We needed some clients, and I was struggling with some of them because I'm new to Canada. I don't have many friends in Canada, so it was a little bit harder for me to just to go and get every people, like just to go. But in semester four, after the break, the semester off, I had some classmates who just recommended me some clients or other. I don't know. I have this strength, I can say, that I like people and I'm very sociable with them, and they would just recommend other people to come. So I'm not sure exactly what the point is, but
Are you pretty talkative when you see a patient?
I am very.
I think that really helps actually, because you're
I'm very
explaining a lot of
friendly.
things. Yes, I think friendly is a key to getting patients. And then because they will recommend other friends saying, this person made me relax actually, because a dental appointment, nobody really enjoys it, right?
Exactly. And you have to be nice to them, and you don't have to judge them. Not whatever reason they have, whatever disease, whatever, I don't know, anything. You just have to be open to them and take them as your friend, as someone you care about.
Sure. Yeah, I love it. And you said that you came to Canada recently. So can you tell us more about where you are from?
I'm from Romania originally, and I came by myself in Canada in a missionary work. So I'm a Christian also. I came as a missionary worker, and after that, I've done babysitting for a while. And after I received my permanent residence, I went to school, so I could start dental hygiene school. Then here I am now.
Fantastic. Congratulations. I'm sure it was
Thank you.
difficult also to jump from one country to another, start a new language school. You made it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, to our audience, MC and I, we never really met in person, but just the conversation we're here having here face to face, it's great. And I tell anybody that if you see me, if you see my face in like the conference, and I also speak in dental conferences and things like that, please don't be shy and just come up to me and just introduce yourself, because sometimes I can't put a name with the face. And
That's
I
true.
would love to know our students that use StudentRDH.
For you, it's harder because you have many students. For us, because we know you, it would be easier for us to come to you.
Yeah, so I'll just be honest. Please just come to me and tell me your name and tell me your story, okay? All right.
Sure, no worries.
So, the main purpose here, really, I just also want to share your story with the board examination because we all have a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
There's many different type of exams too, depending on what region you are. But let's just talk about the national boards here. So how long did you prepare for the national boards?
So here is another thing. I graduated in September, and I thought and I wanted to do the board exam in September. But because by July we had to have certain points, I was only 1 point below the requirements. It didn't allow me to write the board.
Okay.
I was very upset and I was struggling and I was crying a lot. And then I said, okay, let it be, whatever. And after I finished school, but I started to prepare for the board since September to January till I wrote the board exam. I realized actually I really needed this time because in school we study everything, that's right. But there were some things, there were some details that we totally forgot about, or maybe we didn't realize that they exist.
Yeah.
So I realized that I really needed these 4 months to prepare for the board.
Okay, great. So you're telling us that having that gap of focusing on studying, not just going through school at the same time was helpful.
It's very helpful. I really recommend that. It's good to write the boards right after you finish school. If you can do it, don't be stressed if you can't write it, because it's really helpful to have time to study, to take your own time, and to know what to focus on. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. So it's better. I mean, I'm that kind of person. I like more to study by myself. I'm not really a group person.
Yep.
So I know where I'm weak, where I'm strong. So I know what to focus on.
Okay, great. So that's good advice, because sometimes, stress and many other things can take over. And, when you fail, the bad part is that you have to pay again, reschedule, that's even more stress. Okay, so now let's talk about, you prepared for about 4 months, right?
4 months, yes.
4 months.
Let's say 3 months and a half, something like that.
Okay. Yes, 3 months and a half.
It was plenty of time, honestly.
Okay. So tell us what, you obviously did StudentRDH. And is there anything else you did?
So what I would recommend, I started first, well, I knew about StudentRDH later on my time while I was studying. So it wasn't the first thing I knew, because I just figured out later. I registered for the free trial first, and then I went for the full then StudentRDH. And I've seen the plan and all those later. So unfortunately, it wasn't the first thing I started with. I started first with Derby, because after we finished school, we were like, our mind was so blurry. We didn't know where to start, what to focus, and all that. So I said, well, I'm not going to read the full Derby. It's like this.
Yeah.
Too big. I decided to read only the chapters I wasn't sure of. So, and the main ones, even at school, they would tell us to focus on perio, oral pet, radiographs, instrumentation, pharma, medical conditions, like this. To focus on those ones, and everything else that comes on. So I read from Derby the chapters, the theory chapters, like maybe 20 chapters from the whole Derby. And then after I found out the StudentRDH, I just fell in love with StudentRDH. I said, I wish I could know before about this. So I was looking over the planner that you send it on the StudentRDH. And actually, I like that. I followed it, but I already looked over before on Derby, as I said. But I started to follow the planner, the study planner, and I was just following what is the weakness points and then the strength points. I went through all the theory that you have on StudentRDH. By the way, it's a great website. It was very helpful. Like, you really did a great job. You did all the job for us. We just had to study. Great.
So yes, for our audience who doesn't know what the planner is, so when you sign up with StudentRDH, you get this just 4-page. It's a very simple planner, but we ask you some questions about what are your weaknesses. Do you have exam anxiety? It's a little bit of getting to know yourself, first of all, and then we ask you to take the first quiz of all the 70 chapters so you can assess, well, my weakness is pharmacology. I'm scoring 90% on oral pathology, maybe, for example, but pharmacology, I'm doing only 60. So you identify your top weaknesses, and we ask you to focus on those first. So you have a calendar afterwards, and you're supposed to put into your calendar what you're going to study and when you're going to do it. And we always say weakness first, because the reality is that our brain is happy when we study something that we already know, but we have to just be hard on ourselves and just tackle things that we don't know. So we always say study with your weakness, and then you take the quiz again and say, okay, did I did better than the first time? So that's kind of the system I encourage students to do, and I'm so happy you did that.
I did that, well, only on the second half of the time when I started to prepare, after I really purchased the StudentRDH.
Yeah.
So before, I told you I was so confused. I didn't know what to study, where to start, because it's a lot of information, and you know, like, but with StudentRDH, it was so organized. I wish I could know before about StudentRDH.
I really appreciate that. It's stories like that that really makes me happy. You know, it took a long time to put it together, but yeah, we wanted to be straight to the point, things that you have to know, and we dissected every single textbook out there, so you get only
exactly the main points.
Yes.
And also, I loved the questions. They are very, very, very good questions. And I love that you put the rationals, because what I realized is that going through many questions with rationals, it develops your critical thinking. Because I don't know, I mean, I'm not a critical person. I mean, I don't think right away critical. I'm not like that. So for me, it was a long process to study how to think critically.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a little bit harder, but because I read the rationals, I was able to connect in between the question to see, okay, why is this answer the right answer? Why is this answer the wrong answer? And so on. So that really helped me, the rationals. I love rationals.
Fantastic. Yes. And what she's talking about is after every question, we really try hard to explain why A, B, C, D, and E, not just why you're correct. We'd also tell you, well, this is B, this is C, and this is D. Together, you get all this information. And it goes back to, yeah, my own personal experience when I was a student. I feel like there wasn't enough information about why I was right or why I was wrong. Then that's when you actually learn, when you're doing a question. So thank you for sharing that. Now let's talk about let's talk about case studies, because we all freak out about case studies.
Yes. Well, what I can tell you, on my board exam, maybe 95% I had case studies. So lots of them.
How do you feel about them? Are they difficult? Some are easier?
Some are easier, some are straightforward, like whatever you studied is there. Some you have to put your knowledge in practice now. So whatever you studied during the whole dental hygiene school, you have to practice them. In a case study, you will find perio, oral pet, you will find pharmacy, drugs. They have medical conditions, they need to take drugs. Also different, like, more subjects in one case study. Like the case study has maybe 3 rows, but you have 7 subjects in that. So that's why I'm saying that it's very important to do many case studies, many as you can. It's not easy, but I think that as more as you do, it will develop your critical thinking.
Okay, so yeah, the importance of studying the case studies. And what you're saying is not just about straightforward questions and answers. You have to put different things together, such as pharmacology, with perio, you know, with dental hygiene, process of care, with preventative. All of the things are going to be combined, right? Okay.
And for oral pet and for all this, I would recommend to know the oral manifestation, especially because that's our main problem. So oral manifestation for many conditions, how do they develop and all those stuff. Very
Okay.
important to know.
And what about images? Did you see some images in your boards?
Yes, we had many images. There were few with radiographs, so make sure you know the radiograph part. They would give you like periodontal abscess or different stuff, and you have to see it, like recognize this trait. Also, I had oral path with some oral conditions, so you also have to know those parts. We had with instrumentation also some pictures, so it's better for you to know those ones.
Right. So you can have pictures in many different areas. That could be radiograph or pathology, charts. It could be instrumentation. So thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of students have this big question mark in their head about what are case studies? How do I prepare it? What am I going to see? So this is really helpful. And let's talk a little bit about the day of the exam then. You went in the examination room. You sit for 2 hours, right?
For 2 hours at the first time, and then we had a break, and then another 2 hours.
Great. And after the 2 hours, you have to submit your answers, right?
Yes, you have to submit it. I mean, even if you don't have time to submit it, they would submit it right away. So you have 100 questions first. If you finish before, you can leave the room. If you don't, they will just count how many questions you've done out of those 100. But you won't be able to come back to these 100 questions.
Exactly. So that's what I was getting at, because you've seen the webinar too, and a lot of students ask, can I come back after, to look at them? You can, you're done with, the first session. Exactly. How did you feel about time? Did you have enough time?
For me, I had enough time. Usually, I don't know, I always finish before the time, but even at the first time I had, in the first part of the exam, I had like a half an hour, I finished half an hour earlier. Even though I had some questions with a flag, I flagged them, I went back to them, but I still had time. Well, can I add something here?
Of course.
Usually in the whole school period, I had this weakness, I can say, that I always change answers. I always used to change answers. So what I did this time, and I started to train myself from semester 4, because we had only 3 theory subjects. I trained myself and I said, you have to do it, Emese. Don't change the answer. Don't change the answer. I'm repeating that, don't change it. And what I did at the exam, I would flag some questions I wasn't sure of, but I would put an answer there, any answer that would come first in my mind. Even though I'm not sure, like I don't have clue what's that question or that answer about, I would put something that I would think that, okay, it fits there. And then when I would go back to the flag questions, I would just look over them, and if I don't know for sure the answer, like, okay, oh, I've done a mistake, let's change this answer is the other one. If I don't have that, for sure I won't change the answer.
Okay.
So I think that really helped me, that I didn't change the answer.
All right. So you reminded yourself, do not change your answers. Just choose something if you don't know, because I mean, you still have a 20-25% chance of getting it right.
That's true.
And so I love it because I preach, how the brain works. I'm very focused into that and helping our students understand their brain. But, the real reason it works is because your intuition is actually so strong. It lives in our subconscious. And what you have written, read in your textbook or your review course is actually in your subconscious. So when you see the question, it kind of pulls immediately back from your subconscious without you even knowing what you're doing. That's how strong our brain, our body reflexes are. And at the same time, then when we overthink, that's when we just twist the facts in our head.
Exactly. And that's another tip what I want to give you for the board exam day. Do not overthink the questions.
Okay.
Because the question might be so easy and so there, like for you, it gives you everything there. But if you overthink the question and say, oh, what if you this? What if you make many stories in your head and you have the answer there, you might be confused and get another answer. And I had some friends who were overthinking the questions and they made it wrong. I
see. I totally agree with you. But the difficulty here is, how do you not overthink from the beginning? Because we have to think critically, meaning we have to analyze everything, but then we should not overthink. So what I suggest to my students always is just look at it very objectively. Don't put your emotion into it. Just read the way it is. Do not twist the words.
Usually, in most of the case studies, in most of them, in all of them, you have a keyword.
Mm-hmm.
So look for those keywords and make sure you know exactly what this disease is related to, or like this oral condition is related, or this medication is related to. So if you know those ones, and by the way, your tips for the drugs, how to memorize the drugs and all those stuff, like, they were just amazing. I don't know, when I saw the questions for drugs, I was like, whoa, I know that for sure. Like, it was so funny, but they were really nice. I really loved your tips for those parts.
Memorizing the drugs, yes. All right, is that the memory course that you did?
Yes, memory course. And also I've seen on YouTube some videos, but usually when you give us at every questions, you give us their tips. Okay, this is for this how to memorize or stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. Like,
fantastic.
I won't forget those ones.
Fantastic. Yes, what MC is talking about is, so in StudentRDH now we have a new course that's called, a memory course. It helps you give you theories of how to memorize things better, and that I made it specifically for dental hygiene. And I teach that, in conferences, I teach that in schools as well. But it's, you need to use your brain in a funny way to memorize it. You can't just be boring, especially drugs. They're so boring. So we're going to find fun ways to memorize it. So the course talks about it. In our YouTube channel too, I try to do some videos about it. But I think the best way would actually take the entire course. So that's what MC is talking about. And I love it. Those drugs are going to stick with you now in your head until you are done with dental hygiene career.
That's what, even after.
Yes, sure. Even after, right? That'll be really funny. That's great. So after the second session in your examination, how did you feel?
So before we went in the exam, we were there, the whole classmates and everyone were there, and they were saying, okay, after the exam, just come out and memorize the questions and try to.
Okay.
It doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work. When we came after the first session, we came out, everyone started to talk about questions. I started to feel like, oh my, I'm getting nervous. What should I do? Like, I would recommend, I know they're your friends and it's nice to talk, and because you might have some questions, but the trick here is that I might have a different case study, you might have a different case study, and maybe the answer is the same, and the question is different also. So you might get confused. Oh, okay, for this question is this, but actually I got another question, I got another answer. So I won't recommend to talk about the exam, because you will be more nervous. Another tip, what I would say, is just be relaxed. Be relaxed in front of, like, when you're writing the boards, just imagine that you are in your own room studying, preparing, doing reviews and all those. Just imagine that it's you and the computer, and that's it. And don't, because the stress sometimes, and most of the time, blinds out our mind. And even though we know and we were the best, we are getting so overwhelmed and so anxious that we might forget everything we know. So I trained myself, and I'm a Christian, so I prayed a lot, and I had peace in my heart that God would be with me, and I knew that I did my best. So I just said, you know what, now it's his turn to do the rest.
Great. I love it, because you're exactly right. Our anxiety, even though we know the answer, even though we are good students, it's a mind game. So when you go there, you have to be 100% confident about your answer choice, even though, you have some doubts. Now, talking about the exam with other students, might actually give you more anxiety, because just like you said, let's say I had a question about perio and they had a very similar question about perio, but it could have been actually very different. So they say, hey, the answer was B, and you're like, no, it was A. You might actually not even talk about the same question. So in your head, you start thinking, oh my God, I'm going to start failing this.
Exactly. And when you think of that, I mean, especially in between the sessions, then you might not be able to focus on the second session. You will think, oh, I've done wrong that question. Your mind is still behind, and you cannot focus on the questions you have in front of you.
Yes. So I think that's I think the greatest tip that you actually gave us is like control your mind. You know, you pray, you know, it's meditation, it's trying to relax. Know in your heart that you have done everything you could in order to pass the examination.
That's true.
Fantastic. How long did it take you to receive the results?
So usually on the national board exam, it was written that we have to wait like 6 months, and they would post the results earlier sometimes, but they didn't even give us when. And we were very surprised that after 2 weeks, they posted the results. And actually, I was very nervous because I'm just telling you an experience. I had a friend of mine, and she failed before. So it was her second time, and she also said that she failed. So I felt so bad. And when she said that she failed, I wasn't even able to look, because I don't know if you all know, you won't have your name written at the results. So you just get a code, the one that you will log in at the board exam. So you will have a code with few numbers, and that's it. You don't know like who passed, who failed. So I was looking over my exam. I didn't like, in my mind, because I felt so bad for that friend of mine, I just saw fail, 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 fail. And then when I saw at the code,
code,
I got it. When I saw pass, I was like, ooh, pass? Like, I don't know the pass name. And then looking back, I realized that there were more passing rates than fail, but because I was so stressed, and actually I started to cry, and I started like to shake because I was so scared. I don't know, it was my first time writing the board exam, and I was so, in my heart I had that peace that I would pass. But I was nervous, you know, you never know what happens. So I said, oh my, what if I'm failing now? What if like questions came in my mind. But when I saw pass, I started to relax. I passed.
Such a good story. So what MC is talking about is actually when you go to the examination, you're given a number. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your number, and you use that in order to log in. That, you know, that's the code you're going to have when you take your examination. And then when you are done, I mean, when you get your result, it actually gives you everybody's so codes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You know, anyways, you have many different codes, and that's next to it you see pass or fail, pass, fail, pass, fail. And you know, you have to know your number, because you cannot read someone else's number saying I pass or I fail. So let's say if you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you need to find that number and see what's next to it, pass or fail. So, you know, sometimes it happens that we read someone else's code and we're like, you know, we have the wrong interpretation. But that's why you see how many people failed and how many people passed, actually. You know, so, but again, you just have to know your number. So it's hard though, because you see all the fail in the entire board, and you're like, okay, which one am I? Like, am I with the one that has a fail sign on it, or am I the one with the one that's a pass sign on it?
Right. I forgot to say, in between the session, I mean, even in between the session, but even during the exam, I would recommend you to take those washroom breaks.
Yes.
Because it really helps. I don't know, you won't be able to have anything with you, that's for sure, but it just relaxes you. Like, let's say that you are thinking too much for one question, and you are so stressed, and so if you take you have 2 hours, 100 questions. It's not that bad. I'm pretty sure that if you don't overthink the question, you can do it. You won't be behind with the time, I'm pretty sure. And I took maybe 2 or 3 washroom breaks, and it really helped me to relax a little bit and to say, okay, let me just, you know, go out, take a fresh air, and then come back. And then maybe I could see the question differently, or maybe the answer would come straight in my mind, like, okay, right away, or maybe not. Maybe I would just flag the question and I will come back later. But I would recommend to take those washroom breaks, and also drink lots of water. I mean, not lots, because the washroom more often, but I drink lots of water, and it really helped me, because I was more relaxed, and I felt like I have energy, and I don't know. For me, it
Perfect.
worked.
You know, what I really am realizing is the whole time you're talking, those are exactly the tips that we give at Student RDH, saying take the breaks because you want to be refreshed and you want to break up from the cycle of overthinking. You know, drink water because your body needs water to perform. And then, you know, the things about, you know, don't overthink the question, you know, relax your mind, whether it's praying or meditating, find the
For me, it
keywords.
worked. I don't know. I
Mhm,
hope for you guys also it works. But
mhm,
for me, it was very helpful, and I really appreciate this website, and I appreciate Claire that
mhm,
who made this website, Student RDH,
mhm,
and everyone who worked for this. It really helped me, and I don't know. I'm very grateful that I was able to find out about this.
mhm. Great. Who did you hear about Student RDH from? Is that a friend?
Sorry?
Is that a friend that you heard about Student RDH from?
Yeah, one of
Mm-hmm.
my friends who
Okay.
graduated in May.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you know, I am so thankful though for the students that follow, that trust actually. And, you know, again, if you have questions, the best way is to email me because I read the emails every day. I have a rule that I should, you know, follow up as soon as I can because I know the board exam is pretty immediate. You know, you want to pass immediately. And then otherwise, yeah, we do the webinars and you attended many of the webinars and it's a great way to get your answer because we use the chat and I see everything that's going in the chat so I can answer a question immediately. So, you know, if you have a chance to go on the webinar when I schedule it, please just sign up. It's completely free. You know, I
I
don't charge
recommend it to you guys all.
anything.
For full student RDH,
Mhm.
it's really helpful.
Fantastic. Now, you know, before we end, I just wanted to ask you if you had any other tips for students who are going to, first of all, go to dental hygiene school, if you had other tips about students that will need to take the board examination.
Well, what I can tell you is just be relaxed, first of all. Know
Mm-hmm.
that you know your part. I mean, don't go to the exam without knowing it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
take it very easy because it's not an easy exam, I'm telling you.
Okay.
It's hard. You have to study hard to pass the board, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And just take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush it, but also don't overthink the questions because
Mm-hmm.
it also doesn't help. Um, as I've said, I'm a Christian, so just meditate and have that peace in your heart that
Mm-hmm.
will do it. I don't know what else I should say.
So for students who are going to dental hygiene school, do you have any tips of how to be, you know, how to pass their school examination or how to, you know, stay relaxed and focused during school?
You will have many examples and many experiences, maybe where you won't really enjoy the school or you won't like the instructor or something. Just focus on your study, focus on what you want to be in the future, and
Mm-hmm.
visualize your future in like 2 years because
I love
the
it.
school is 18 months. So
Mm-hmm.
just visualize where you want to be and just
Mm-hmm.
work hard. Don't one advice what I can tell you, we are people, we all think differently. Even if like respect your instructors and
Mm-hmm.
never talk back to them, or
Okay.
don't, even if you are right and they are wrong, just
Mm-hmm.
talk to them nicely and don't be that person who is trying to show up and I don't know something. Just be humble and do your part, and I'm sure that you will be rewarded at the end.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you talk like, you know, actually a professional coach. So what you said, I totally agree. Visualize what you're going to be in 2 years after school is done, after you have passed, because that gets you going. And you know what the brain says? Whatever you imagine is actually going to
What
be how you feel. So if you
exactly?
see success in your mind, you will be successful,
Work
right?
hard and you will reach there. And if you feel during the school time, if you feel that you're overwhelmed and you feel like I can't take it anymore, I'm going to fail, I'm not going to pass this exam, I'm not going to finish this school,
Mm-hmm.
just do what I did. Take a
Mm-hmm.
semester off. It's not the end of the world. It's just
Mm-hmm.
few months. You take
Mm-hmm.
it off, you put everything in order, you take your time and you will be more relaxed, and maybe meanwhile you can look for clients if you're in the last semester and you need clients. Maybe like just relax, and because it's not the end of the world. For me, when I was thinking that I have to take that semester off, I was like so down, and I was like, what people would think about me. But I said, well, that's what they think about me. They don't know how I'm feeling right now, so they don't know that I'm almost to collapse. I just better take this matter off, and that's it. And then I will continue it. It's not the end of the world. So if you feel like you really, really can't take it anymore and you're overwhelmed, because you will be, I'm telling you, it's not an easy course, but if you put passion in it, if you like what you are doing, work for it and fight for it, you will be victorious.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God. I love all the tips you gave today. I mean, you know what? It shows that you're actually really speaking from your heart and experience as well. You can see it in your face. You know, through video, I can actually feel it. So I hope our
I'm very passionate about dental hygiene. When I like something, I talk with so much passion that I look like I practiced for so many years or so, even though I just graduated. But the first time I went in observation for dental hygiene before I went to school, like knowing where I have to, what I have to go in the future, I just fell in love with dental hygiene. So I was like, oh my, this is what
you want to do.
Have to do, and I want to.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing your story and even the difficult moments that you had at school, how you overcame all of those, how you passed successfully, and now you're on to just getting your license and working, right?
Yes, I'm looking also for a job, but I'm just registering with with CDHO to be a member with CDHO registered dental hygiene, and then hopefully in the future I can work.
Yes. Well, thank you again for being here on this Saturday, actually, and sharing all those stories. I'm sure that is going to motivate a lot of people out there. So. And, you know, you're going to be on YouTube, I mean, on our blog and many different places. And, you know, I would love to circle back next time because you're going to be a working hygienist and, you know, I'm a hygienist too. So we're going to meet and I really look forward to actually shaking hands, you know, as a fellow professional.
Exactly. I just want to tell you, whoever are listening to me, I really recommend StudentRDH. It's very, very helpful, and all the reviews, everything, it's very important. And the most important thing is that you have everything summarized, so you don't have to go through Darby. Well, I don't say you don't have to read Darby. You can go through Darby even if it's like this. If you have time to read the whole book, read it. I don't mind it. But StudentRDH, it's like, it really gives you what you need to focus on. So I would recommend to all of you to go to, it's worth it. It's worth it to go through StudentRDH, and all the tips she gives, all the memory tips also, they are so funny, but you will for sure remember the drugs forever. And it's very organized. I like it because it's organized. You give so many tips, and I don't know, you are really helpful. You really, it looks like you're clear. You want us to graduate, and I really appreciate that.
I appreciate your word because to be very honest here for our audience, you know, I didn't pay MC anyways, you know, anything to be on the webinar and to talk about StudentRDH. So I appreciate your sincere words. And, you know, we don't have any financial arrangement here at all. MC volunteered her time to do a webinar to talk about her experience. And I'm just thankful that you mentioned StudentRDH here and how helpful it was for you.
It was very helpful. Even though I didn't know about this at the beginning, I wish I could know from the beginning because it would make much easier my studying. But even the time I spent with StudentRDH, it was really helpful. And do the mock exams. I've done the mock exam, the Canadian one, I wrote the Canadian board exam, and do the American mock exams. The more questions you do, the better. And read the rationals. Read the rationals because it really helps you. I don't know, for me it was, and everyone whom I was talking with, they recommend me, okay, do the theory, but most of all, do many, many, many questions. So that's more questions, the better. All right. And that's how because I told you at the beginning, I'm not a critical thinking person. Like I cannot really, for me it was very hard, especially that I came from a different background. Back home in Romania, I studied to be a teacher, so nothing related to dental hygiene or science or to all this. So for me it was very hard, especially that language was a barrier. For me, the country, everything new was a barrier. So I wasn't a person who can think critically. But because of doing so many questions, so many, like I've done all the questions from all the subjects Claire has on the StudentRDH. I've done the mock exams many times, and it just improves your critical thinking.
Okay, well, I am very impressed for you to come to a new country, start with a new language, you know, graduating dental hygiene school, which is not that easy at all, passing the board. So I can see a bright future for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much again for being on this with us on a Saturday, and we will see you soon again.
See you soon.